The sun rose over a quaint little town, its golden rays spilling across quiet streets that seemed to hum with the promise of an ordinary day. But beneath this serene facade, a storm of emotions was brewing, ready to erupt in a way no one could predict. On a warm Saturday morning, the grand steps of the town's most luxurious hotel were adorned with cascades of white roses, their petals catching the light like tiny beacons of celebration. A glossy black limousine idled outside, its polished surface reflecting the anticipation in the air. A wedding was about to unfold, an event that would leave guests speechless, hearts pounding, and one man's carefully laid plans in ruins. This wasn't just a union of two souls, it was a stage for pride, betrayal, and a comeback so stunning it would echo through the town for years. If you love stories that ignite your spirit with tales of resilience, second chances, and the sweet taste of justice, then please hit that like button, share this video with your friends, and subscribe to Midnight Tales for more heart-stirring stories. Drop a comment below and tell us how this tale makes you feel. Your thoughts could inspire someone else out there. Emma was a woman whose gentle spirit and relentless work ethic often went unnoticed in a world dazzled by wealth and status. Years ago, she fell deeply in love with Daniel, a man with charm, ambition, and a hunger for greatness that outshone his modest roots. Against the warnings of friends and family, Emma gave everything to him, her heart, her energy, her meager savings. She worked double shifts as a waitress, took on late-night cleaning jobs, and sometimes skipped meals to ensure Daniel had what he needed to chase his dreams. She believed in him more than she believed in herself, pouring her soul into building a future she thought they'd share. But when success finally kissed Daniel's hands, something shifted. The warmth in his eyes turned to ice, and the love that once filled their home was replaced by the cold glint of money. To Daniel, Emma became a burden, a living reminder of the struggles he wanted to erase. Their marriage grew hollow, and one day, without so much as a warning, he filed for divorce. He walked away, leaving Emma with nothing but a rusty old car that sputtered and a tiny apartment with rent she could barely scrape together. Heartbroken but resolute, Emma faced an even greater shock just weeks later. She was pregnant, not with one child, but with triplets. Fear gripped her. How could she raise 3 children alone, with no money, no partner, and no support? Yet, in that moment of despair, something fierce ignited within her. Those tiny lives growing inside her gave her a purpose she'd never known. She wasn't powerless, she was a mother, and she would fight harder than ever for her daughters. Thus began years of relentless struggle. Days blurred into nights as Emma juggled 2 jobs, her hands calloused from work, her body weary from exhaustion. She spent countless evenings rocking 3 crying infants, soothing them through fevers and sleepless nights, her own tears mixing with theirs. There were moments when collapse seemed inevitable, when the weight of bills, loneliness, and doubt threatened to crush her. But every time she looked into her daughter's eyes, she found the strength to keep going. They needed her, and that was enough. Meanwhile, Daniel climbed the social ladder with ruthless ambition, moving in elite circles of wealth and prestige. He never once asked about Emma or the children he'd left behind. To his new friends, he spun tales of his freedom from that poor woman who'd held him back, painting himself as the victim of a marriage that stifled his potential. When he met Sophia, a polished young woman from a wealthy family, his ego soared to new heights. She was his ticket to the life he believed he deserved, a chance to prove he'd transcended his past. As their wedding day approached, Daniel's arrogance took a darker turn. Driven by a toxic blend of pride and bitterness, he decided to invite Emma to the event. In his mind, it was the ultimate power move. He pictured her arriving in tattered clothes, perhaps scraping together bus fare, standing on the sidelines as he married a woman of real worth. He wanted her to feel small, broken, and utterly defeated, a final twist of the knife to seal her humiliation. But Emma had been carving her own path, far from Daniel's shallow world. She raised her daughters, now 6 years old, with love, discipline, and an unshakable belief in their worth. Despite their financial struggles, she poured her heart into teaching them courage, kindness, and resilience. Emma had landed a job at a small design studio, where her natural creativity began to shine. Through years of grit and perseverance, she transformed her talent into opportunity, opening her own boutique. What began as a modest corner store grew into a respected business, its reputation built on Emma's quiet determination and eye for beauty. She didn't chase the spotlight, but she no longer lived in the shadows of her past. Her daughters, bright and full of life, were her greatest pride, their laughter a testament to the home she'd built against all odds. When Daniel's wedding invitation arrived, Emma's first instinct was to toss it in the trash. The memories of his cruelty, the years of abandonment, and the whispers of pity from mothers flooded back. But then she paused. This wasn't about revenge, it was about dignity. She wanted her daughters to see that no one could define their worth, not even the man who'd discarded them. With calm resolve, she decided to attend, not to prove Daniel wrong, but to show her girls what strength looked like. The morning of the wedding dawned bright and golden, the air buzzing with excitement. Guests arrived in sleek cars, their glamorous dresses and tailored suits shimmering under the sun. Daniel stood tall in his crisp white tuxedo, basking in the admiration of his social circle. Sophia, radiant in her custom gown, smiled for the flashing cameras, the picture of perfection. Everything was unfolding exactly as Daniel had envisioned, until the sound of another limousine pulling up turned every head. Whispers rippled through the crowd. "Who is it?" People murmured, craning their necks. The chauffeur stepped out, opened the door, and out came three little girls in matching yellow dresses, their curls bouncing as they held hands and stepped confidently onto the red carpet. Behind them emerged Emma, her deep green gown hugging her figure with effortless elegance, her face glowing with quiet strength. Gasps filled the air. The crowd's murmurs grew louder, a wave of awe and disbelief washing over them. Daniel's smirk vanished, his face paling as if he'd seen a ghost. Sophia's smile stiffened, her poise faltering for the first time. Emma, holding her daughter's hands, walked forward with a grace that commanded the room, her presence more captivating than the bride herself. The guests who'd once heard Daniel's cruel tales about his pathetic ex-wife now saw the truth. They saw the adoration in her daughter's eyes, the way Emma carried herself with unyielding dignity, and the quiet power that made her shine brighter than any diamond in the room. Sophia shifted uncomfortably, sensing the unspoken comparisons forming in people's minds. Emma didn't need wealth or status, her resilience, her love, and those three radiant girls were worth more than any fortune. The ceremony pressed on, but the atmosphere had shifted. Whispers followed Emma everywhere, some guests offering discreet nods of respect, others casting apologetic glances forever believing Daniel's lies. The triplets giggled and charmed the crowd, their innocence melting hearts, while Emma simply smiled, her calm presence speaking louder than any words. Daniel had invited her to humiliate her, but instead, he'd exposed his own emptiness. Emma's attendance wasn't about vengeance, it was a testament to survival, love, and transformation. She sat through the vows without a trace of bitterness, never once trying to disrupt the event, because she didn't need to. Her very existence rewrote the narrative. By the night's end, the moment etched in everyone's memory wasn't Sophia's gown, the lavish decor, or the carefully rehearsed vows. It was Emma stepping out of that limousine, her daughters by her side, her head held high. Photographs captured the shock on Daniel's face, the awe in the crowd, and the radiance of a woman who'd risen above cruelty. In the days that followed, the town buzzed with whispers. Daniel's arrogance was laid bare, his character questioned by those who had once admired him. Emma's boutique flourished, drawing customers not just for her designs but for the story of her strength. She became a quiet beacon of hope, proof that living well, with dignity and grace, could be the most powerful response to cruelty. Emma found peace, not in revenge, but in knowing her pain had shaped her without defining her. Her daughters grew up knowing their mother's worth, not their father's betrayal. Love, not wealth, became her measure of success. If this story stirred your heart, please take a moment to like this video, share it with others, and subscribe to Midnight Tales. Your support helps us share more stories of kindness, resilience, and triumph. Before we go, drop a comment below. What would you have done in Emma's shoes? Your reflections could light the way for someone else facing their own struggles.